Hello, everyone. Welcome to our LAM CAA assessment for CAA aspirants. Today, we shall be tackling surface anatomy and musculoskeletal system, the overview. Let's welcome straight from LA, Ma'am Athena.
Ano po?
Good evening. Okay, can you
Hindi.
define anatomy?
Anatomy is the study of the structure of the human body.
Very good. Physiology.
Physiology is the science that deals with the function of the living organisms.
Okay. Anatomy and physiology are usually given separately in medicine. So we have like two SEMs for that, no? Okay, can you describe the anatomical position? This is very important, especially when looking at diagrams, no? And especially when you are locating the points. So first, we need to know what is the anatomical position. Can you describe it, Madam?
It's standing erect with feet together, facing the observer, arms at the sides with the palms forward.
Okay. So the palms should be facing forward, as you can see from the slide, no? See that? And the feet are together, and the subject is facing the observer. That is the anatomical position. Okay, what plane divides the body into equal right and left proportions?
It's the mid-sagittal or median.
Okay, very good. So this is how the mid-sagittal plane looks like. It is also called the median plane. It divides the body into right and left equal proportions. What about the plane that divides the body into superior and inferior parts?
It's the transverse plane.
Okay. This is the transverse plane, dividing the body into superior and inferior. What do you call the plane in which the parts in front of the midline are anterior, the parts located in the back of the midline are posterior?
It's the coronal plane.
Okay, very good. Coronal plane. This is how the coronal plane divides the body. No? What makes up the extremities? Because we always encounter this in anatomy books.
The arms and legs.
Okay. And you need to also know that the points of attachment for the arms are the shoulders. The points of attachment for the hips are the legs. What do we mean by proximal?
Proximal is the closest to point of attachment.
Okay. A very good example is knee is proximal to the ankle. In acupuncture, we have proximal points, we have local points, we have distal points. So what do you mean by distal?
Distal is farthest away from point of attachment.
Okay. Like the wrist is distal to the elbow, farther away. List the four quadrants of the abdomen and the central point. What do you call the central point?
The central point is the umbilicus. There's the right upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, the left upper quadrant, and the left lower quadrant.
Great. So we refer to this as RUQ, LUQ. So this is a RLQ and LLQ. So in the center would be the umbilicus. Okay, what is the organizational pattern of the body? This is called the hierarchy. So we start from the smallest.
Okay, the smallest is the cells, then the tissues, then the organs, and then the system.
Great. What is a cell? What are its functions?
The cell is a basic unit of body. It functions for breathing, reproduction, nutrition, excretion, and metabolism.
Good. So these are examples of cells. We have here the bone cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, the nerve cell or the motor neuron, intestine cells, the ovum or the egg cell, and the sperm cell or the spermatozoon. Next, list the four types of cells.
We have the epithelial cells, the nerve cells, the muscle cells, and the connective tissue cells.
What are tissues?
Tissues are a collection of specialized cells that perform a particular function.
Okay, this is the one next in lowest is cell, then we have the tissues. Name the four basic types of tissue. Describe their functions.
The epithelial tissues absorb, secretes, forms, covers, and sometimes produce body fluids. The nervous tissues forms, brain and spinal cord sends messages and for coordination. The muscle tissues have the ability to change its length. The skeletal has attached to the bones for movement. The cardiac forms heart wall, and the connective forms blood, bone, fibrous, and elastic tissue.
Okay. Um, for the muscle tissue, we have the skeletal and the cardiac, no? So all in all, we have four. What is an organ?
An organ is any part of the body that carries out a specific function or functions.
So this may be made up of more than one kind of tissue. What is a system? So from cells, we go to tissues, then we have the system. What is it?
A system, a group of organs organized to perform a specific body function.
Yeah. Cells, tissues, organ systems. So I made a mistake there. List the body systems. Actually, these are all the topics that we shall be discussing in our anatomy physiology module.
So it's the circulatory, reproductive, endocrine, respiratory, digestive, skeletal, integumentary, the urinary, and the muscular system.
Great. What are membranes? What do they do?
Membranes are sheets of epithelial tissues supported by connective tissues. They cover the body, they line body cavities, and they produce some body fluids.
Can you describe the mucous membrane?
The mucous membrane produce a fluid called mucus line. They line body cavities that open to the outside. They're clear white fluid and they moisten and they protect.
Okay. We should be very specific when we describe the mucus. So it's clear and white fluid. It moistens, protects. And this is produced by the mucous membrane. From mucous membrane, we go to synovial membrane.
The synovial membrane lines open cavities. They reduce friction between bones and they line joint cavities. It produces synovial fluid and it's an egg white color.
So every time we talk about bones, to prevent or reduce friction, we have the synovial membrane. As we grow older, especially the what we call the wear and tear, so you will expect the synovial membrane to have thinned. So expect pain, no? As there will be erosion, there will be friction between the bones. So try to maintain the nutrition of your synovial membranes. Now, next we go to serous membrane.
It produces serous fluid, which is a clear and yellowish tinge. It covers the organs and lines the closed cavities of the body.
Great. So these are the this is an example of the serous membrane, no? It produces fluid that is clear, yellowish, and it covers the organs. We also call this the serosa. Okay. What covers the brain and the spinal cord?
The meninges covers the brain and the spinal cord.
That is why we have meningitis. I'm sure you've heard about it, no? Inflammation or infection of the meninges. Okay. What covers the lungs and divides the lungs into lobes?
It is the pleura.
Okay. So if there is going to be a problem, there will be infection. We call this pleuritis. Okay. This covers the heart in the thoracic
It
cavity.
is it's the pericardium.
Yeah. So pericardium is serous membrane. Okay. This is the pericardium, covers the heart. What covers the digestive organs?
The peritoneum covers the digestive organs.
So this is sort of like protects or separates the organs from each other, you know? So so here you have your peritoneum. It is the membrane that lines the peritoneal cavity or the coelomic cavity. What is a body cavity?
They are cavities are spaces, and within it contains organs.
What two cavities make up the dorsal cavity?
They are the cranial and the spinal.
Great. So this is the cranial cavity. This is the spinal. Okay. So cranial cavity and the spinal cavity will make up the dorsal cavity. Dorsum is back. Okay. So brain, spinal cord. Next. If we have a dorsal cavity, we also have the ventral cavity. So what cavities will make up the ventral cavity?
They are the thoracic, abdominal peritoneal, the pelvic, and the retroperitoneal space.
Okay, so this is the ventral body cavity, also composed of different cavities. No? Next, where is the brain located?
The brain is located in the cranial cavity,
Great. And where is the heart located?
in the thoracic cavity,
Where is the spinal cord located?
in the spinal cavity,
Where is the stomach located?
the abdominal peritoneal,
Uterus,
in the pelvic cavity,
kidneys,
in the retroperitoneal space,
rectum,
the pelvic cavity,
urinary bladder,
the pelvic cavity as well,
lungs.
the thoracic cavity,
What other organ is also located in the thoracic cavity?
um,
The heart, right?
yes.
The liver.
The liver is in the abdominal peritoneal space,
Okay. What other organ did we mention? It's also located. Okay,
the
anyway.
stomach.
Yes. So yeah. Okay, let's go to systems. This is the system that transports materials around the body, carrying the oxygen and nutrients.
The cardiovascular system.
Good. The system that produces hormones, and hormones regulate body processes.
It's the endocrine system.
What system digests, transports food, absorbs nutrients, eliminates wastes?
The digestive system.
What system protects the body from injury and against infection, regulates body temperature, eliminates wastes?
It's the integumentary system.
So, if you want to have good skin, you should have good elimination system. You should improve your skin, di ba? Ganun lang yun eh. No matter what chemicals you put there, that will never improve unless you do something about the skin. And the skin in Chinese medicine is considered to be the third lung. So if you improve the lung, then we will have a very good skin. What system supports and protects body parts, produces blood cells, acts as levers in movement?
The skeletal system.
What system protects organs by forming body walls, forms walls of some organs, assists movement by changing position of bones at joints?
It's the muscular system.
Okay, what system coordinates body functions?
The nervous system.
What system reproduces the species, fulfills sexual needs, develops sexual identity?
The reproductive system.
What system brings in oxygen, eliminates carbon dioxide?
The respiratory system.
What manages the fluids and electrolytes of the body, eliminates liquid wastes?
The urinary system.
Okay. This pertains, so every time we talk about the internal organs, this is the term that we use.
Visceral.
Yes. Okay. What about when we pertain to the outer wall or of a cavity?
The parietal.
Yeah, parietal. The starches and sugars present in foods are called.
Carbohydrates.
What are monosaccharides?
Monosaccharides are single sugar
So
molecules.
they're called mono, no? What are disaccharides?
They are a double sugar molecule made of two monosaccharides bonded together through dehydration synthesis.
Great. Polysaccharides.
They are carbohydrates that are made up of more than two monosaccharides.
Energy-rich organic compounds such as fats, oils, and waxes that are made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
They are lipids.
These are fats that are solid at room temperature.
They are saturated fats.
These are fats all liquid at room temperature.
They are unsaturated fats.
What are called the building blocks of proteins?
They are the amino acids.
Functions of proteins.
The functions of proteins are for structures, signaling, enzyme reactions, immunity, storage, transports, and for contractiles.
So if you want to have a good immune system, you should have more proteins. Diba? Not starch or carbohydrates. What is the type of protein that speeds up or hastens up a chemical reaction in a living thing?
An enzyme.
So enzyme is actually called a catalyst. So this is the one that speeds up a reaction. For example, we have the salivary amylase. So it's the enzyme found in the saliva that will try to break down the bolus, no? Okay, let's go to burns. This is also important. So we have first, second, third degree. What is a first degree burn?
The first degree burns are superficial burns through the epidermis.
Okay, only the epidermis is involved. Yeah. What about second degree burn?
Second degree burns are marked by pain, blistering, superficial destruction of dermis with edema, and hyperemia of the tissues beneath the burn.
Third degree burn.
Third degree burns are involving all layers of skin, characterized by destruction of the epidermis and dermis with damage or destruction of the subcutaneous tissues.
Define gross anatomy.
Gross anatomy is studying ones that are visible with the eyes.
Yes. Regional anatomy.
Those are all the structures in one area.
Surface anatomy.
They are how internal structure relates to skin.
Okay. Actually, this is very, very important in acupuncture. So mastery of the surface anatomy is imperative for every serious-minded practitioner. Excuse me. Systemic anatomy.
They are specialists for specialists, system by system.
Okay. So we have the example cardiologist. What is microscopic anatomy or histology? Okay.
Studying what can't be seen with the eyes.
Yes. You use an equipment called the microscope. The study of body cells is called excuse me.
Cytology.
Yeah, cytology. Study of tissues.
That's histology.
Structural changes through the lifespan.
called developmental anatomy.
Okay. What connects bone to bone?
It's the joint.
So this is an example of the joint, the hip joint, bone to bone. No? Sternum is located
In the
in the
chest, yes.
yeah, chest. Or okay, chest, yeah. Hindi pa siya sa thoracic cavity because it's like outside back. Can you feel your sternum?
Yes.
Okay. There are points that, especially when we do the practicum for acupuncture, between the fourth and fifth rib, you need to know how to start counting from the rib one. So we will all do
Mm,
that during the practicum. The ilium is a bone of the blanc.
of the pelvis.
So this is the pelvis. There are actually three bones. We have the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. Okay, and this is the sacrum. Sacrum is actually a fusion of four bones. Okay, we see three holes here. And then, so those are the bones of the pelvis, and ilium is one of them. How many cervical vertebrae are in the human spine?
There are 7 cervical vertebrae.
So these are your seven. The first one is called the atlas. You remember it's the atlas carrying the globe. Then the axis, that's C2. C3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's a very important point here. It's called governing vessel 14. So you need to know how to differentiate C7, the last bone of the cervical, from the thoracic. Okay? This is very, very important. Next, which bone elevates every time you shrug your shoulders?
It's the scapula.
Okay. Now, this is called the shoulder blade, no? The scapula. This is very, very important, especially when you locate points. A very important point is called bladder 17. This is located here. So you need to be able to use this as the landmark, okay? And from the midline, you have to measure uh, 1.5 soon. And soon we will discuss that when we meet at practicum. Location of the fibula.
In the lateral side, it's the knee to ankle.
Okay. So if the fibula is on the lateral, where who is in the medial?
The tibia.
Yes. Okay. The trapezius muscle is located where?
It's located in the back.
That's the trapezius. That's why when you have neck pain or shoulder pain, usually it involves here and this one. No? Yeah. So that explains why when you have shoulder pain that affects the trapezius, pati dito masakit. Okay? And we can relieve that in a few minutes. What is the strongest bone in the body?
It's the thigh bone or the femur.
Yes, the femur. Remember that, longest, strongest bone. Latissimus dorsi is located where?
It's located in the back.
So this is your latissimus dorsi. Don't worry, we're not going to discuss the origin, insertion, but yeah, a little lang, no? Mm-mm. So this is especially important when you do gua sha. How many lumbar vertebrae are in the human spine?
There are 5 lumbar vertebrae.
These are your lumbar vertebrae, plural for vertebra. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the spinous process, and that is very important when you locate points. So we locate the points in between or below the spinous process. Okay? Describe the location of the ulna.
In on the pinky side, it's the elbow to the wrist.
What is the counterpart of the ulna in the lower, in the leg?
The radius.
No, no, sa leg. Di ba
The
kanina you talk
the
about the fibula?
femur.
I'm sorry, no.
No, which one? I'm not sure though.
No, 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 no. Who can analyze la? Okay, the radius is very important here when you check the pulse, remember. Ano
Mhm.
ba ang radius? Is it the medial or the lateral? Using the
Medial dock.
anatomical position.
Medial.
How is the anatomical position? Hmm? How is anatomical
Uh,
position?
it's the radius is the lateral.
Yeah, radius is lateral. Di ba? Oo, ulna is medial. So if the radius is lateral, what is the counterpart of the radius in the leg?
The fibula.
Yes. And what is the counterpart of the ulna?
The tibia.
Okay. That's also very important, especially when you do balancing technique. We'll talk about it,
Mm.
when we meet. The number of thoracic vertebrae in the spine is
It's 12.
okay. These are your thoracic. These are so important, no? As you will find out as we go along, no, sa study. There are so many points there in between the spinous processes. The name for each end of a long bone, the area
It's
beyond
called
what do you call this? The end of a long bone.
it's called the epiphysis.
Yes, the epiphysis. So when you have two epiphyses, so that's E, epiphysis, no? So the end, these are the epiphyses, okay? Name the round process on both sides of the ankle joint.
It's called the malleolus.
Okay. These are the plural is malleoli. Of course, this one is the lateral malleolus, the medial malleolus. This is very, very important because there are many important points below the malleolus, coming soon from the malleolus, and you will love it, no? Okay, so what is the thin layer of cartilage covering the bone in the joint space?
It's called the articular cartilage.
Yeah, it articulates. You see, as you can see, oh, this is the patella or the shin bone. This is the femur, and then this is the tibia. Remember, some medial, the knee joint. So you need an articular cartilage there para to join all this together. Next, what is found in cancellous or spongy bones, the site of hematopoiesis?
It
If you're familiar with the ano ba yun? Bulalo ba yun? Yung may ano?
pero
Yeah, yung sinisip-sip. Bulalo. Yeah, bulalo. It's
the
bulalo.
red bone marrow duct.
Yes, the red bone marrow. So this is the red bone marrow. Then we have the yellow bone marrow. 'Di ba? Sa mga Bisaya pa, you want to really eat this. What is the soft spot between the skull bones of an infant?
It's called the fontanelle.
Okay. So this is the anterior. Then we have the posterior fontanelle. Next. Okay, bending the sole of the foot downward toward the ground. Parang kang nagbabali.
It's called the plantar flexion.
Yes. Here. This is plantar. This is dorsiflexion. Okay. Movement away from the midline of the body is called,
The abduction.
yes. So, what is the opposite of abduction?
Mm,
Adduction.
and
So,
double D doc, no?
double D, yeah. What is hard, dense bone tissue usually found around the outer portion of the bones?
It's called the compact bone.
Yes, this is the compact bone. And this is called the trabecular bone. Parang lufa, no? The muscle connected to internal organs. This is also called the involuntary or smooth muscle, meaning to say this is not under your control, no? So like the muscle in your stomach, you cannot control, you cannot tell your stomach not to not to work. That's so what do you call this muscle?
The visceral muscle.
Yeah. So there are, yeah, it's called the smooth muscle or the visceral muscle. There are actually three types of muscles, no? The skeletal, which controls every action that a person consciously performs. This one is voluntary. You can control it. Visceral or smooth muscle is found, as you defined it earlier, no? It's found inside of organs, controlled by the brain, the unconscious part of the brain. That's why if you think too much, it will affect your digestion. Diba? Like too much thinking.
Mhm.
Diba you notice? Like I have especially if
That
you fight
problem.
with your partner every time you eat, no? So that's something you cannot control. So
Or like
you want to take
stress dok, no?
acids. Oo, ganun yan eh. Then we have the cardiac muscle. It is only found in the heart, responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. Okay? Kaya tawag dyan cardiac. What is the shaft or mid portion of a long bone?
It's called the diaphysis.
So this is the diaphysis, the middle part. Kasama na dyan yung compact bone, periosteum, the marrow cavity. Okay. What action is this? Straightening of a flexed limb. If finlex mo, then you straighten it.
It's called extension.
Yeah. So from extension, you flex it, or you can see it here. Okay, diba? Flexion, that's the difference between flexion and extension. Turning the palm downward is called,
Pronation.
yeah. And this is the other one is supination. Okay? Okay na. Okay. What is the connection on either side of the head between the temporal bone of the skull and the mandibular bone of the jaw?
It's called the temporomandibular joint.
Madali lang, no? Genuine lang. Temporal
Yes.
and mandibular. So this is the joint. Now, are you familiar with TMJ? Yung pain, yung sumasakit. We can actually
Mm.
treat that using acupuncture.
Di, connected pa yan sa lockjaw, dok?
Yes, yes. So you have to relax it. You should
Mhm.
know the points. What is the knuckle-like process at the end of a bone near the joint?
It's called the condyle.
Condyle. Okay. This is the condyle, lateral medial epicondyle. No? You need to know these terms because when you read the location of the points, these are mentioned. Okay? What is the narrow slit-like opening in or between bones?
It's a fissure.
Okay. So these are the different types of fracture. So we have fissure. Ito pala mabuak na sa Bisaya. No? Here we have
Mm.
fracture in two parts. That's complete. Comminuted fracture in several pieces. And then, anyway, we won't be dealing with fracture. What do you call the strong bands of fibrous tissue that connect to each other, that connect the bones to each other?
They're called the ligaments.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if you're familiar with, ano ba tawag dito? Sprain, no? Are you familiar with sprain? That's actually the
Mm.
ligaments that are affected. Connective tissue that attaches bone to skeletal muscle is called.
It's called the tendon.
So this is the tendon. This is the muscle. This is the bone. Hmm? So this, okay, it's tendon. Kaya if this gets swollen, due to injury, call it tendonitis.
Mm.
Tough fibrous substance that fills a space between joints acts as shock absorber.
They're called the cartilage.
Yeah. So we have the so-called hyaline cartilage. And if you've been like abusing your body, this can injure, no? And so
Jogging.
magkakaroon ng ravage. Kaya don't overdo anything. What do you call the loss of muscle mass and strength?
It's called atrophy.
Yeah. Long muscle that runs along the forearm helps in flexing the elbow joint.
It's called the brachioradialis.
Okay, this is your brachioradialis. Okay, starts from the humerus. Kaya tinawag niya na radialis. Pupunta sa radius. See? Okay, what do you call this structure? It has three parts, the manubrium, the body, and the xiphoid process.
It's the sternum.
That's the sternum. This is the manubrium, the body, and the xiphoid process. Ito. Can you feel your xiphoid process? So this is the collarbone. This is called the clavicle. Okay. So, yeah. Responsible for involuntary movement in our bodies. What type of muscle?
The smooth muscle.
So this is an example of the smooth muscle. No? Next.
Mhm.
A typical long bone consists of five basic parts. The blood vessels, spongy bone, marrow cavity, yellow marrow, and the,
The hard bone.
yes. There are about how many muscles in our body?
Around 700.
Yeah. My source says mga 650, but I think that's an old book. Parami na parami.
So said 640.
Yeah. Seven about naman. Okay.
Mm.
Duchenne's muscular dystrophy usually causes death by age.
20, Doc.
Okay.
But
So,
I saw din, Doc, 20 to 30.
meron iba, mga exception, but, bata pa rin. Diba?
Mm.
So, take care of the spleen. I think we need to make sure na maganda yung spleen because the spleen is the one involved in muscles. Some other, huh? Blank is the medical term for any break or in the hard part of the bone.
It's a fracture.
Great. These are the fractures. A disorder characterized by interrupted nerve impulses from the brain that results in muscle weakness is known as.
The myasthenia gravis.
So we have a very popular personality who has this, di ba? Okay. The muscle that forms the heart and is responsible for the beating is
The cardiac muscle or the myocardium.
the myocardium. Myocardium. Myo is muscle. So parang inano lang, maganda lang pakinggan myocardium. Blank is the only voluntary muscle associated with the skeletal system.
The skeletal muscle.
Great. This is the skeletal muscle. Is it voluntary? Yeah, voluntary. The only voluntary. Muscle fibers are held together by.
The connective tissues.
Very good. So here, dyan yung mga connect. They connect all the bonds, the muscle fibers. The big toe is made up of two phalanges called the.
The proximal and the distal phalanx.
So these are ito, proximal. We call this the interphalangeal joint, the distal interphalangeal joint. Okay. The blank is the small bone that lies on the end of the femur
The patella.
or the kneecap. Thank you very much, Ma'am Athena, for
Oh,
joining. Excellent. Perfect.
you didn't, Doc.
Thank you.